What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I'm Nogard, and I'm going to be doing a guide today on Summoner. Now, level 1 through 80, I'm going to be doing this more so because it seems to be like there's not much of a specific guide for one-on-one when it comes to class progression on certain classes. So today I'm going to help walk you through it, go through 1 through 80, how you're going to be playing the class on each skill you get, how exactly it goes about. Now, much so like most ranged, caster ranges don't have positionals, so for those that are interested in looking at melee classes or anything up close, this is not for that. These are mostly classes that you can pay more attention to your rotation, focus on more so moving around for mechanics, and you're definitely going to have a lot more leeway when it comes to just feel free to do more damage, basically. Now, of course, Summoner is one of those classes that's really burst damage. It's a lot of bursty. It's really fun. I've been maining it since before pre-Shadowbringers, when Heaven's Sword was ending and when Stormblood was beginning. And then right around the time when Stormblood was ending, that was when I started to really main it in Savage, and I took it a lot more serious because I used to Dragoon main for a couple years prior, and most of my entire career in Final Fantasy XIV. So I feel that this is going to really help everybody that really wants like a one-on-one talk of how the class plays, 1 through 80, how you're going to be playing currently. This is up to patch 5.5 current, from starting the game now until you get to Shadowbringers and you hit 80. Because a lot of new players are coming in, and I want everyone to really get a feel of like how the class plays, get a good sense of it. Now, bear that in mind, this is not to perfect or play the class in any way, shape, or form perfectly. This is just to get a really good hand-on experience of the class itself. So I really hope it really helps everybody out, and it's like an amazing way for it to you guys to progress in the game. And let's get to it. I'm not going to waste any more time. So, Summoner. What you're going to be doing when you start summoning class. So starting any job in the game, you're going to be starting at the base level of the job, level 1, and you're not going to be the class per se starting out. As a job, you do not get your job until later on in the game. Now, with that said, you're going to be starting out with the Summoner class as Arcanist. Your Arcanist is going to be starting out at level 1. You're going to be progressing from there and getting your skills and pets as you progress through your job quests, which I will also say, because most people don't know where your job quests are, you will find them up here or on your main scenario quest tab, which is right here. Right, mine says to be continued, but if you have a job quest, it will pop up right below that, and it will tell you where you need to go for the next quest. Now, going on from there, as we were saying, your soul crystal. So your soul crystal is going to be what you will get at level 30. I'm going to start from the beginning first, but I'm just going to let you know that's when you get your job. That's when you will become your summoner, and that's when you actually will have your job starting from there. So starting out at level 1. Level 1, as a Arcanist, you're going to have Ruin. So Ruin's the base damage attack mostly. You're going to be just using your ability like you would, like Ruin right here. For right now, it's Ruin 3. This is the ability I have right now, and that is the third upgraded version of Ruin, but it's basically the same thing you'll be using, and that's basically what you're going to have starting off to damage and just level up pretty fairly quickly from 1 through 10, outside in most of the open areas in the game. Going from there, you're going to be getting Bio at level 2. Now, Bio is one of your first dots. Dots are very extremely important. I recommend going and looking up videos for those, especially. I will touch up on it a little bit right now, especially for Summoner, because Summoner is one of the amazing utility dot classes in the game. They can pump out a lot of dots, 2 big dots, but they also pump out damage with those with more abilities like Try Disaster and so on. So I will get more into that. Now, Physic, this is situational because most classes I've seen with Summoner, they just don't use it at all. Most people don't even try it. It's not even worth having at higher levels. It's very situational and only lower level dungeons. So what I've noticed is if you're in a dungeon with sprouts or you're with just new players in general, most people just drop it off, don't care about Physic at all. I honestly recommend you keep it on. There have been many situations where I've seen summoners in dungeons and you have a healer who is still learning the game, who is having a hard time healing the tank, and I know as a DPS your first instinct is to just do damage. I recommend you stick that on your bar still, Physic, and have it ready just in case, for the sole purpose of helping out your players just in case the healer has trouble healing. It's really nice to be having that quick ability just to be able to throw it out there. It's really situational, I know, but it's very handy, and I really recommend it just personally on my case. Going from there, you're going to be getting Summon. Now, Summoner, of course, by the name states, is when you're going to be getting pets. Most of your damage and utility comes from your pets. They mostly attack on their own. Most of the actions you use, which I will explain as I get into detail about them, you'll only be using to weave in and out of your rotation as you level up your class from 1 to 80. So, summoning. There will be a summon recast for Summon 2 and Summon 3. You'll get 3 pets. The 3 pet summons will be your Titan EG, your Garuda EG, and your Ifrit EG. Now, we all name them by the Titans in the game, or the Primals, so to speak, but most people can glam them or turn them to Carbuncles. I myself am always known them as Carbuncles because you can glam them over and change them to that, just specific for their pet. Now, other than that, they're going to look just like either the Titan aspect of a summon, the Garuda aspect, and the Ifrit aspect. Now, obviously, of course, the Titan's going to be your tank pet, Garuda's going to be your AoE pet, and then the Ifrit's going to be your damage pet, main single target. At level 6, you get Miasma. Now, Miasma is your second dot in the kit of Summoner. I really recommend you pay attention to this because this is where it gets a little complicated for some people who don't have any idea how dots work on classes, and Summoner is one of the biggest dot kits in the game. The way you properly apply dots will be Miasma and Bio at the same time concurrently on the target. The way you do that is you cast Miasma first, and as it's casting, you instant cast Bio 3 on the target at the same time. With that in mind, they both last 30 seconds. So as it's coming up on 3 seconds on your dots, right here, 5, 4, 3, you start casting your other dot, and then you apply it again like that. It should very much go on the target as they're about to drop off, and it will very consistently stay on there for damage, and I really recommend doing that the best you can. It really helps a lot, and it keeps damage up on the enemy, and your enemy is going to die a lot faster. EG Assault 1 is your first base ability you're going to get for your pet at level 10. It activates, depending on what pet you have, a certain ability, either Aerial Slash for Garuda, Crimson Cyclone for Ifrit, Earthen Armor for Titan. Now, I'm going to get into those abilities later for pet, obviously, and not try to jump between sections of the abilities and just go in order as we're going right now. Next is Resurrection. Resurrection is your res ability. Now, Resurrection is very useful for a summoner, and I recommend this for all people who have a res. Now, with most parties, healers do not recommend you res a person that is down because most healers want you to focus on your damage and your kit, and that's it, and leave the healing and resing to your healers. Now, I personally recommend if you're going to summon and you have a res on you, just like Red Mage or any other class with a res, if you can properly fit it in your kit and you can pop off a res and help your healer out and let them focus on healing the tank or anything else going on, then by all means do it. It's very helpful. Just please work on practicing it and know what you're doing when you're trying to weave it into your class. Don't be very much dropping your damage and completely forgetting about what you're doing as a summoner if you're going to go ahead and res somebody. Going from there, you get your second summon at level 15. This is when you get Titan. So you don't get all 3 pets all at once. You slowly get them in order. Now, this conversation about Titan I'd like to get into a lot because most people completely drop the whole staple of using Titan for Summoner, and I very much am against that. So as you get the ability to summon your Titan EG, you're going to also be able to use the ability of Earthen Armor. Now, Earthen Armor is the ability I want to go over with your Titan EG because as you use it, it gives you a 30-second buff of Stone Wall, which is nullifying damage buff. Now, obviously, you didn't see in the party list, but if we were in a party with somebody, you would see a barrier shield go over your health bar, and it would give you an extra debuff of damage that would mitigate and would help a lot with. And at this point, this is when you're going to be getting one of your abilities that does a lot more damage. You're going to be seeing yourself doing more damage as you get Fester up, and it's going to be a lot more useful. Now, at the same time, that at level 18, you're also going to be getting Energy Drain with it. Now, Energy Drain is how you get Fester. Energy Drain is used to basically give you Aether Flow. Now, Aether Flow is what gives you these right here. This bar shows you how many times you can cast Fester, or any of the other abilities pertaining to Aether Flow. Aether Flow is basically, let's say, your stack ability. It's like refilling a gun, basically, for your class. Being able to use that more and more. Obviously, you're going to be able to 2 times per use of Energy Drain. So, for instance, I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I'm going to apply my dots to the target. Dots are applied, 30 seconds. Now, I'm going to be using Fester. And then, you see the damage number on that. That's going to be that damage of Fester applied plus your dots on the enemy. That's very important to remember because it is only going to do 100 additional damage unless your dots are on, which will increase to 200 for one effect and 300 for both. So, you're going to be doing 300 per for dots on your enemy for Summoner. And as you keep doing that, obviously, you're going to be using Fester again until your dots fall off or they reach 3 seconds and you reapply. And then after that, you wait till Energy Drain pops up again, you press it, and then it refills your bar again, and you got 2 more slots of Fester. That's at that point going to be your basic rotation for a bit until you level up more and get more abilities. Moving on from there, that's when you get Bio 2. Bio 2 is the upgraded version of Bio. Like I said before, they're going to be upgrading from here on and getting stronger and more potency. Other than that, it's the same situation. You still apply your dots, you still make sure you pay attention to how when your dots are going to drop off the enemy, and so on. Moving on from there, you get Bane. This is where it gets really fun in mob pool dungeons. So Bane is one of those abilities that it basically spreads your poison and all your dots from a summoner to every enemy within range. Now, most dungeons, if you're used to it at this point already, tanks are going to be pulling mass mobs wall to wall. They're going to be pulling them into corners. They're going to be pulling them into areas where it's very easy to burn them down and take them out and keep moving along the dungeon. So as you're doing this, you're going to apply your dots to the enemy, like this, as so. After both applied, you're going to Bane, and that's going to spread throughout everything in the area, all the enemies. It's going to increase the potency. Now, it's not going to be as potent as the original dot damage, but it's still going to do damage to everything surrounding. Now, this isn't going to be your only AoE damage. It's going to be that plus multiple abilities you're going to be getting later on as well. Now, I'd like to note, after moving from Arcanist to Summoner, like other jobs, with your hotbar, if you haven't noticed, if this is your first job playing or your other jobs moving on, your hotbar is going to reset on you. It's going to take the actions you've already put up in display. It's going to reset it. It's going to be like, okay, you have a whole new class. You're going to have to reset it up. This isn't that bad. There is a description I'll put down below on a guide on how to do some macros for that, hopefully. That will help you copy over from the class to this if you don't want to like mess around and set it up for you. It's really handy. I just learned it myself not too long ago. Other than that, you will have to set them up and pull it from your action and traits list back to your bar, depending on what abilities you were using and so on. Moving on from there, on Bane, you're going to be getting Rune 2. Now, Rune 2 is just the upgraded version of Rune. It's just more damage, potency in terms, level 38 wise. And going from there, you're just going to be doing the same you were doing before with Rune, and that's it. Going from there, you're going to get AG Assault 2. Now, this is going to be your second kit use when it comes to your abilities and your pets. At this point, you're going to have your Assault 1 and your Assault 2. That's going to be your full kit for your pets. They both have 3 actions apiece for three pets when it comes to Titan, Garuda, and Ifrit. Now, these are very important for your kit in terms of damage because your pet's going to be doing whatever you tell them to do. That is not as complicated as it used to be in the past. I will explain that right now, actually, when it comes to the reverse and rotation. The other ability I'd like to point out is at level 40, you're also going to be getting Outburst. Outburst is the other ability for AoE damage you're going to be really focused on in kit in terms of mob pools. It's very useful. It does 90 damage to all target and enemies nearby it. The large mob pools after you're applying your dots and baning every single target. Now we've got a sense of everything at level 40 of what the main kit is mostly going to be. I'm going to show you in quick action of what the rotation is going to look like. A little bit from when you have your pet summoned to applying your dots to baning single target, and then you're going to have a good sense of where you're standing at right now in terms of level. So starting out, you're going to be dotting. Now, like I said before, dots are what you always start off with, whether it be one target of a mob or a single target boss. Starting from there, you're going to bane if it's a large mob pool. Now, Energy Siphon at level 35. I didn't go into detail about this, and I forgot to do that. This is the other ability. It's the same thing as Energy Drain. The difference with this is it's very nice to use because this is going to fill your bar also, but you only use it if you're going to have a mob pool. So it's only more situational with AoEs. So this is going to be used for mobs, for multiple enemies, and Energy Drain is single target for when you're fighting bosses. Or if you don't have Energy Drain ready, they're both on the same cooldown though, so you should have them both up and available, so you shouldn't have a problem choosing, and you'll have them both ready. So let's go ahead and keep going and go back to what we were doing. We're going to be applying our dots. We're going to Bane to get the poison spread across all the enemies. And going into that, we're going to have Outburst, which is what you're going to be basically using in place of Rune. That's going to be for mob pools. This is going to be doing damage to every single enemy in range of wherever you're at. Now, of course, after that, before your dots fall off, you're going to apply a dot again. It doesn't matter where you apply your dot to, because at this point, Bane's going to be active again, and you reapply Bane. You only ever reapply Bane when you're going to have to reapply dots again. Now, I do realize that during mob pools, enemies are going to die very quickly because you're going to be burning them down. Try to focus on what your dots are at. Depending on the mobs, and depending on if they're going to burn down quickly or they're going to die fast, it's not that big a deal. If the mob dies quick enough and you don't have to use all your ability at the same time, just kind of keep in mind that as you're doing this is going to be the base rotation of what you're going to be doing until the enemies die and you're going to be done and you're going to be moving on to the next mob. That's the whole scenario of how you burn down your mobs with your summoner, while also using Fester. Now obviously once you're done with your Fester, if you don't have any more and you need more Fester and you have this down off cooldown for Energy Siphon, go ahead and pop Energy Siphon. Make sure you keep your dots in check and pay attention to them if they're about to fall off like mine just did for 3 seconds. Reapply, Bane again, and back to Outburst. It's a kind of quick succession of back and forth, back and forth. Now, depending on the dungeon you're in, obviously, you're going to have to be at the top tier dungeon for your level. If you're doing any dungeons lower than what the abilities say, you will not be able to use the ability. Say, for instance, you have a level 40 ability, you're in a level 30 dungeon. You will not be able to use that level 40 ability, so you have to wait until you do a dungeon which will let you use that ability. Now, this can be very aggravating if you've got a lot of abilities and you got your rotation set up. Just kind of remember the base, the base rotation of what the summoner is. Just keep your dots on the enemy. Whatever AoEs you have at this time, please keep them up. Do the best you can in doing so. And the enemies will die, and that's the best you can do. Now that we've talked about the base, kind of the gist of like from 1 through 40 on all the abilities so far, we're going to be moving on from 40 to 50. And this is where it's going to get more in terms complicated with the rotation. Hopefully you've practiced enough so far from what you know of from level 40. And from here on, you're going to be a lot more kit for your pets. You're going to be getting your first summon here soon, which is going to be Bahamut, which gets really exciting ability-wise, and your kit's going to get a lot more damage from here on out. And let's get to it. Level 50. So level 50 is going to be one of your weaving abilities for your pets. Now, it commands your pet to use its signature move. Kind of think of it as like a limit break for your pet kind of thing. Now, it's going to do a different ability depending on what pet you have, obviously. So with the Titan, you're going to be getting Earth and Fury, which creates a barrier around you, dealing damage to all enemies who enter it. Potency of 20 seconds, 15-second duration. It does 300 damage to all nearby targets. It's not the best AoE you're going to have in terms of Garuda when it comes to an ability instead. Titan, mostly for this case, you're not going to be using it ever. You're mostly going to just be using either situational, the armor for Titan, and you're going to be sticking with Garuda instead. Garuda instead's ability for her special is going to be Aerial Blast. Aerial Blast does 350 target to all enemies nearby it. And it's a few more potency higher, and it's going to be doing a lot more damage in turns because you're also going to be using the abilities they have with the Aerial Slash and Slipstream, which also does AoEs also. If you're going to be having the full kit of AoE damage from mob pulls, it's very nice in terms of if you want to just help burn down all the enemies at once. And then Ifrit is more so the situational Inferno, which is going to be the single target damage and also adding a dot in the same time. So going from there, after you've gotten Enkindle level 50, which I will show the kit later on as we get all these abilities explained from level 15 on, you'll get Pain Flare. Now, Pain Flare is your other ability I mentioned before that uses a Fester gauge, or an Aether Flow gauge, like I mentioned before. It's going to be your other ability you're going to be able to use with Fester, which is really nice because you're going to be able to use this in terms of AoE damage on all your enemies. So, awesome. You're going to have another ability to use for AoE damage in terms of all your mob pulls. It's going to be really fun and really awesome to use. You're not going to have so much of a problem anymore with burning mobs down. The best part about Summoner is that you're going to have a really great kit in terms of just overall just destroying everything at once, if that makes sense. You're going to have a lot of poison everywhere. You're going to have massive damage all around with the full kit that you get once you unlock it in terms of 70 up at 80 even. It gets really fun at that point because then you're like looked at as like burn it, and you're going to be a really nice kit, a really nice utility class with buffs included. So at this point, you're going to have a really nice AoE, which I will also show in the kit here soon in a bit after I explain more of these abilities. Level 54 is the upgraded version of Rune 2 to Rune 3. This is going to be the last upgraded version of Rune you're going to get. It's really strong in your main kit. You're going to be doing level potency of 200 with it. Now, at 56, you're going to get Tri-Disaster. Tri-Disaster is a really great ability you're going to have. It's going to be able to apply your dots automatically if you've forgotten to drop off, for example, your Miasma and Bio. It applies your dots automatically in case you've missed an ability. For example, like this, it automatically applied all my dots just now for 30 seconds each. Now, obviously, you're not going to heavy rely on this because it has a cooldown, of course, and you're going to be wanting to still focus on having your keeping your dots up at 3 seconds like you would as a habit. That way, whenever you do have Try Disaster available for damage, it also does damage while also applying dots. Now that you kind of have a sense of what the class is like from 1 to 58, and you're getting onward to 60, 70, and 80, and you're starting to unlock all the really big damage kits of the Summoner class, I'm going to kind of show you how the rotation works and sense of what it's going to look like as you're getting up there and it's going to be at max level. The difficult part about Summoner is that it is a very fast kit. The rotation is very quick. It's challenging because you're always pressing buttons. There's never much time to just sit there and do nothing because you're always going to be doing damage. It's one of the really fun aspects of Summoner because it's really fast and you're always going to be finding something you need to be doing. So I will do my best. I really apologize if I missed anything on this for any of those people that are also very keen to Summoner. And I really hope you find this useful, and let's get to it. I'm going to Rune 3 first. I'm going to sick my pet. I'm going to use a pet action. I'm going to Energy Drain, Try Disaster, Pet Action 2. I'm going to use Aether Pact also. I'm going to go back to another pet action. I'm going to using Kindle. Then I'm going to Dread Room Trance. Go back to using another action for my pet. Fester, Try Disaster, Rune 3, and I'm going to end it with Death Flare. At this point, this is when you summon your Bahamut once you get it. Bahamut, you're going to have Rune 4 from stacks from using your pet actions. You're going to use Kindle Bahamut to use Akmorn. Fester again, back to Rune 4. And you're going to go into Rune 3. Now, at this point, you're going to be out of your Fester actions. That's when Energy Drain is going to be ready again. You're going to go use Energy 3 times. You're going to use Energy Drain, Rune 4, Fester. See, now that in itself right there is a good example of that was really slow. That right there, I just completely messed up my rotation because I had to already have another Enkindle Bahamut used for Akmorn. And I would have had enough time to pump out 2 more Festers and possibly another ability from Bahamut for Rune 3. It's a very complicated class to explain in terms of trying to slow it down because it's very fast and you need to just watch it as it plays out. So from here on out, this is more so the chill point after you're done with Bahamut though. Even though I messed up my Bahamut rotation, this is what it looks like for when you're in your second phase of the Summoner rotation, which is going to be your Phoenix phase. I call it the Phoenix phase because this is basically, you're starting over what you were just doing to charge up your Bahamut rotation, except you're doing the same thing for your Phoenix. Obviously, the thing with Phoenix is after your Bahamut's done, Phoenix is ready to pop already, ready to go. Now, obviously, you're going to be wanting to wait and see if your dots are ready. If your dots aren't up yet, you're going to be wanting to wait to put them up. If you have Try Disaster first, you're going to apply that. If you have a Fester still left over, you're going to use it real quick. You're going to reapply Energy Drain to refill it. You're going to activate Firebird Trance, and you're going to go into your Firebird rotation, which is Fountain Fire, and Kindle Phoenix, which is their special ability for Phoenix, Brand of Purgatory, and Fester, and then back to Fountain of Fury. Now, at the same time, watching your dots also and using Fester and Kindle Phoenix, back and forth. Now, as your dots are about to fall off when they're reaching 3 seconds, then you apply Try Disaster, keeping your dots up in the process. And then your Phoenix goes away, and that's about it. Now, obviously, that was also still slow in terms of the rotation because it's still very fast-paced and needs to be looked at in a fast way for it to be appreciated and how you're going to be going about it. Now, if you ever stumble and get lost in the rotation like you've been seeing me do trying to explain it right now, Rune 3 is your best action to fall on. You're always going to be pressing Rune 3 regardless, even if you have downtime in the class, because it's damage you're just not wanting to lose on. It's 200 potency every time you hit it. That plus your dots keeping up, that's a lot of damage. That's going to be something you want to always keep up on no matter what. Now I'm going to sit here and wait for when the rotation dies down again, and we're going to get a really good sense of what the rotation looks like in full swing, level 80, and just what you're going to be expecting to look at when you're getting up to the high levels. Okay guys, everything's reset, everything's ready to go. This is going to be the rotation at full swing, level 80, and just how fast it really looks with everything going off all at once with all the abilities. Make sure your runes 3 times. At this point, Enkindle Bahamut's ready again. Keep doing Rune 3 best you can. Also try to fit in a Swift Cast if you want to pop another instant Rune 3. Go for Energy Drain. Use Energy Drain. Dots are about to fall off 3 seconds. Keep dots up. Fester again. Back to rune 3. At this point, kind of just cycle through. If you don't have 4 stacks yet of rune 4, go ahead and use your pet actions in the process also. Your next phase is coming up. Phoenix is ready. Apply Try Disaster to reapply your dots. Energy Drain. Activate Firebird Trance. And go into Phoenix. When that's about to fall off, go back into rune 3. As your dots are about to fall off, you can apply them manually like this if you want, or use Try Disaster. Depending on the situation, you're going to be restarting, trying to charge up your Bahamut again, and back to square one. Now that we've kind of explained what's everything's going on, that's pretty much the ins and outs of the class level 80. It's just a reset at that point, and you're basically trying to recharge up, get ready for Bahamut again, and rinse and repeat. And that's the damage of the Summoner rotation level 80 from start to finish, and that's what you can expect. With that said, that's the full 1 through 80 rotation guide for Summoner. I really hope it's helped you guys today. This is my first guide video for a class that I've done on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe down below to keep up on all the other guides I'm going to be putting up. If there's any advice you guys can add, also I will be adding descriptions down below on any other resources you guys can look into for anything I've missed, if I apologize for that. And thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next video.